Also from Belgium is Annelies Verbeke, and I got to know her. The first time I met her was in Georgetown, Malaysia, when we both were guests at the literature festival. I didn't know Annelies, I didn't know her work, but I got to know her as a really amiable person, very funny, with a big appetite as well, because Malaysia is very famous because of the street food. And I remember one day we had like 5 hot meals. You remember that? We even discussed of having a 6th meal together. I started reading her books later on, and I think what amazed me is that Annelies Verbeke has a really original and profound outlook on her characters and on life. Extremely and highly intelligent and extremely funny. That was a quote from the press, and I think that is quite right. She just written her Dutch novel 30 Days, 30 Dagen, is quite a success. She's now reading from Assumption. It's a collection of short stories, and the book is translated by Liz Waters. Annelies Verbeke.
Other stories, so we also call it a novel in stories in the hope that it will sell better. So, yeah, I am going to read from a story called Christmas, because we just passed this horrible time of year, so I thought let's bring them back there. I was told that I only have 5 to 7 minutes, so I will keep it quite short. Oh yes, the reflection in the shop window confirms it. There walks Nicolette de Puit, 17 and a half, sturdily built and glowing with self-reliance. She's hooked her left arm through the handle of a wicker basket, its contents covered with a red and white checkered tea towel that she needed to drape several times before she was satisfied with the result. As she crosses the street, she can feel the wickerwork cutting into her skin through her new winter coat. It hurts a little, but the pain should make her stop to contemplate the fact that she can feel it. Gusta's left arm is paralyzed and old. How startled she'll be, Gusta. She's not expecting Nicolette until tomorrow on Christmas Day, still unaware that she's going to be saved from loneliness on Christmas Eve as well. Nicolette trembles slightly in the knowledge that she's about to make a difference. The happiness she'll bestow rises and radiates, baking golden brown deep inside her. She's experienced this before, feeling turned upside down by the warmth filling her, a glow that scorches as it seeks an outlet. Of course, Gusta will behave as if she doesn't care whether anyone visits her or not. She has a right to her pride. Nicolette understands. Previous visits have taught her to ignore every gruff rejection good-naturedly. Gusta's son never comes. She has little contact with the other residents of the service flats, mainly because she doesn't seek it. But ought this vulnerable elderly lady to be punished for her lack of social skills? Nicolette thinks not. When she first bustled determinedly into the canteen several months ago, it was Gusta who immediately caught her eye. At the end of an empty table, she was rotating a chop through her mashed potato with a fork. Her limp left arm seemed stuffed with straw. "Shall I cut up your meat?" Nicolette asked. Gusta nodded at her with shining eyes, and after the meat had been divided into small pieces, the poor woman asked her to eat it too, since there was a nurse who would take a firm line with her if she left a whole plate of food. Nicolette first tried to convince her of the good intentions of the nurse in question and repeated several times that it was important to eat well, but when she saw that her words were making no impression on Gusta, she took one bite after the other and cheerily chewed through the tough chunks of pork chop. Gusta watched, fascinated. The start of a beautiful friendship is how Nicolette recalls their first meeting. The hail hammers away at her cheeks for another 3 streets as she moves the heavy basket from one arm to the other. Then, behind a naked bush, the neon-lit canteen of the care home looms up. Between the legs of a reindeer painted with fake snow, gambling across the big front window, she sees Gustav sitting surrounded by elderly card players. When Nicolette taps on the window, the others look up first, then Gustav. Nicolette points to her basket and smiles mysteriously. Inside the door, her glasses fog up. "There's your friend," says Marcel, who is shuffling the cards. "What's it going to be? Playing or talking?" "If you leave us, we'll be one player short. Rosa's sick," Leontine adds. "I'm staying here," says Gusta. "Go ahead and deal." She keeps her eyes firmly on the cards in her hand, even when Nicolette puts the basket down next to the table and presses her cheek to Gusta's. "Surprise!" she shouts in her ear. "I thought you were coming on Christmas Day," says Gusta. "I'm playing cards." "Your turn," says Marcel. Gusta looks at the cards between them, then at the one she's holding. Since she has no other usable hand, she first lays the cards face down on the table, then slides one of them out with her finger. "Oh, but I'm coming tomorrow as well," Nicolette enunciates. "What a beautiful tree! Are all those presents for you?" The old people at the surrounding tables turn their heads to look at the tree covered in blue baubles rising out of a mountain of parcels. "Those are empty boxes in wrapping paper," says Gusta. "Otherwise, they've been stolen long ago." "Your turn," says Marcel. "Wait," says Nicolette. "Tell me which card to play for you." Marcel is sweating, Gusta notices. Whenever he holds himself back, he starts to sweat. "Jack of diamonds," she says. "But keep your voice down, will you? I'm not deaf and I don't want to go deaf." "Sorry," Nicolette shouts. After she's laid the card on the table, she walks off to look for a chair for herself. Gusta watches her go. "So much fat on such a young girl," she says to Marcel. "At that age, I looked rather different." "Isn't she a relative?" asks Leontine. "God, no!" Gusta goes on shaking her head when Nicolette comes back to stand at the table. She hasn't found a chair. "Your turn," Marcel's wet forehead, his twisted mouth. "Which do I take?" asks Nicolette, leaning down over the card so that her young bosom rests on Gusta's neck. Gusta continues to look at Marcel. She puts her cards down and gets up out of her chair. "We'll go to my room," she says gruffly. "I've brought all kinds of things for you," Nicolette beams, lifting her basket. "Either we play cards or we talk, but not both together. That doesn't work," Marcel calls after them. Okay, and the rest of the story.